What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 4.45%, extending it another 1.08 after hours. So absolutely brutal day. You did have 1468 the low, 1555 the high. On a side note, you did actually have some pretty good volume. So 46.6 million shares being traded, 42.2 is the average. Unfortunately, a lot of that did come from algorithmic trading. It wasn't necessarily big money buying it. So these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So the frequency definitely very low, doesn't match with the options. So again, it was algorithmic trading. Surprisingly enough, though, you did have shorts returning a small amount. So 374,000 shares, 12.25% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 131.89 million shares overall are being shorted. So very interesting to see shorts return, as well as what I brought up yesterday. You had the cost of our average and minimum both negative. It looks as though brokers kind of just turned off the switch and they're back to normal as per usual. So definitely a lot of shady stuff happening behind the scenes. But today there was just a lot of fear in the broader market. So starting off, you did have initial jobless claims coming in at 219,000. Forecast 215. So it's okay if one data point was negative, because I think that's what kind of the market wants, right? They want negative data to justify a rate cut. But I think today a lot of people started to really realize, hey, more and more data is actually negative. And so I think they kind of started to get a little bit fearful over that, in combination with a lot of companies really flopping on their future guidance. So a lot of companies have been absolutely like smacked around. Even just after hours right now, Amazon is getting smacked around because of them lowering their Q1 guidance. So market is absolutely relentless right now, but kind of comical when it comes to SoFi. So I have a lot of different YouTube channels, a lot of different stocks I do cover, different sectors, and I can honestly tell you that no stock is as manipulated as SoFi, because looking right here, you did have a new rating today. So no news, no SEC filings. This was the biggest driving factor why SoFi did go down so much more than the other fintechs. And so Giuliano, who has a 56% success rating, strikes again. Compass Point, $6 sell. And yeah, it's comical at this stage. I don't know what's with SoFi or just the investors behind the scenes institutions, because if SoFi gets a $5 rating, $6 rating, $8 rating, any of these negative ones, the sell ones, market panics like crazy. But SoFi gets, let's say, this $20 rating, I think it closed, what was it, like nothing. It probably was up like 1% at best. So market absolutely favors negative ratings. And interestingly enough, we haven't heard from the kind of the devil himself, David, who has a 48% success rating. And since we last checked, that has dropped quite a lot. I think it was 60 prior. So he's definitely had some pretty bad calls, including SoFi. But it's been 3 months since we've heard from them, so most likely they'll be giving another new rating, I would estimate, sooner rather than later. So yeah, it's a absolute comical show when it comes down to that. But like I said, no news associated to SoFi, no SEC filings or anything like that. Shorts just returning also is kind of just icing on the cake. Moving over to options, 24 million in calls, 11 million in puts, 49% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. And this is actually a very good example. So I always say sometimes with SoFi and some other stocks that usually pre-market you just see normal activity, and then as soon as the market opens, that is when you see a massive sell-off. And if you kind of look here, look at all of the puts that were was purchased. So that's ultimately how people benefit. They buy puts, then they sell off the stock. That way they kind of benefit from the puts, or vice versa happens. If they buy calls, and they're free to buy up the stock just so they kind of benefit twofold. Yeah, this is a kind of comical all in all. But then again, as I brought up in the past, retail hasn't really been doing all that much with SoFi. It's been more institutions. So usually they can kind of freely do whatever the hell they want. retail has been, I feel like, panic selling. They did in Q4, or just taking profits again, either or. But yeah, it's definitely a interesting scenario. But aside from that, of the call options that were purchased today, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $16 range. So optimism has definitely been going down. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub $14. So still higher risk versus reward at this stage, but still there's a lot of bearishness going on. But with it closing at $14.80, it is trading between these 2 points. So this pivot in this S1, 1593, unfortunately didn't really hold all that well. 1409 is going to be the next strong support. Wasn't tested whatsoever, so definitely watch for that going forward into the next couple trading days. And actually, with today being Thursday and tomorrow obviously Friday, I'll give you an overview of this. So this is the open interest. You do have 4,000 at that 15, 8,000 at that 1550, 21,000 at 16, 21,000 at 1650. So ultimately, you probably won't see any crazy manipulation coming from shorts to suppress it below these strike prices, because all these are kind of small numbers. So even in general, SoFi could run back up to that 15, and you probably won't see that much real resistance coming from shorts, maybe from the broader market potentially. But again, anything is possible. But aside from all of that fun jazz, let's go over to the actual chart. So with it at 1465, it did close once again below that 50-day moving average, also ALMA. And so yeah, I think as of right now, the only positive is the fact that it is oversold. So that's, again, the only positive right now. So I think the whole rule of that 50-day moving average might be coming to fruition, how there might be some consolidation. So like I mentioned, just refer back to those support and resistance points, because that'll be key ones. Aside from that, you do have that 100-day moving average at 1304. So I think right now, just it probably is an overreaction based on the analyst rating, but in the past, once a trend is started, I think that's probably why that analyst did do a rating, just to really push SoFi, because SoFi, as of the last couple of days, it's been on the fence, and I'm sure you guys can tell based on my videos as well, the technicals have been somewhat iffy. It could go in either direction right now. It's kind of just stuck in limbo. So I think that analyst is very manipulative and very smart at the same time. They knew strategically to do the rating today to really just be that nice extra push that SoFi needed to fall off this cliff. So I think that's ultimately what happened. So you might see a little bit of further consolidation, whether it's unjustified or not. I don't see it as that, but what do I know? So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Did you buy? Did you sell? I didn't do anything with SoFi, and to be honest, I didn't do anything with SoFi this whole week. I saw it kind of doing its thing today, and I was hesitant. I was going to sell some puts, but I feel like I said, just once the trend is starting, it could potentially go down. And so yeah, let me know your viewpoint on all of that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. Pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.